Hi everyone. So we do have a fire alarm going off at Severn Trent, but it's just a test. So don't panic. Darren is safe and well. Thumbs. I've got a thumbs up. I can't believe that happened 2 minutes before the webinar. Live webinar is due to start. So welcome everybody to the Severn Trent webinar. Today we're going to find out a little bit more from the grads Burt, Simran and Krishna, all about their opportunities that they've had at Severn Trent so far. So running water in a flushing toilet is something that we all take for granted, but how does water get to you and how can we sustain this resource for the future? Today, Severn Trent will tell us how. So Gradcracker has a long history with Severn Trent and Darren. Me and Jess have met Darren on numerous occasions at your HQ in Coventry, and they do a lot with Gradcracker as well. So they sponsor the Gradcracker toolkit, so that's the utilities section, and they've got a hub filled with lots and lots of information, such as employee profiles, videos, and lots more. So I really want to get across to you today, the viewers, about how interesting the water industry is. And why you really should consider this if you are looking for a placement or a graduate opportunity. So let's find out a bit more from Darren about Severn Trent and the opportunities which they currently have open. So Darren, on to you. If you could just tell everybody who you are, what you do.
Yes, absolutely.
And Severn Trent.
Thank you very much, Carla. Good afternoon, everybody. For those of you watching this live, my name is Darren. I am the Attraction and Selection Lead for all of our new talent programs at Severn Trent. So delighted that you're spending some time with us this afternoon to learn a little bit more. 2022 is a big year for us. Our numbers for both undergraduates and graduate opportunities are increasing. Multiple programs within STEM focused areas as well, which is really important for the audience that's with us this afternoon, and opportunities that are also sort of in the West Midlands and East Midlands. So whether that's engineering and you're interested in design, maybe program delivery, technology, we've got different technology programs, those that are specific to certain skills types, and those that are more, I suppose, gives you broad sort of overview of technology. Different types of engineering sort of discipline requirements as well. It's an exciting time with a lot of projects that are taking place now and going into the future.
Really exciting news to be at Severn Trent, isn't it? So
absolutely.
Tell everybody a little bit more about Severn Trent, Darren, and what the company gets up to.
Yes, okay. So as an organisation, we are a regulated water and wastewater business. So we have around 8 million customers across a large geographical patch, which stretches from sort of South Gloucestershire towards the estuary of the River Severn, all the way through to North Lincolnshire, sort of Scunthorpe way and everything in between. We do have a Welsh part of the business as well. So from an early careers perspective, it's a big investment by the executive or Severn Trent Executive Committee. And as an organisation with a social purpose, we're very much aligned to providing opportunity for young people at all different entry levels, be it apprenticeship, undergraduate or graduate. So in terms of where, then we ask our candidates to be flexible, as you'd imagine, with the kind of operations that we have. Then not all of our sort of sites, especially in the engineering world, or if you're out and about, are accessible by public transport. So sort of having that ability to get from A to B is quite important. So you might need that support at the outset based on not having the ability to do that. But I think if you've got the mindset that, okay, this is an industry that I'm going into, it's in an operational world, be it engineering, I think our technology roles, our technology roles are more office-based, of course. But for those that are going into roles that could see them being able to go out and see the projects that they're working on, then being able to do that is important. And you'll hear from Burt and Krishna later on.
Perfect, thanks, Darren. Bert's laughing all the way through this because Darren is a walking, talking glossary of Severn Trent facts.
Try not to include too many acronyms, Carla. So
No acronyms either. There's the strict rules and regulations to this
absolutely,
webinar.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Darren. So what we're going to do now is move on and speak to the grads about their experiences. They all found their placements and graduate opportunities through Gradcracker, so they're really big advocates of the site as well. So Bert, I'm going to start with you. Could you tell the audience about where you went to university and what you studied, please?
Hi all. My name's Burt Pickering. I studied mechanical engineering at Bournemouth Uni.
Thank you, Bert. I'll come back to you for your fun fact at the end. Oh, watch your space. Krishna, so where did you go to university and what did you study?
Hi, everyone. Before joining Severn Trent, I did my master's in international business management and mechanical engineering at Newcastle University.
Thank you very much. Simran?
Hello, I went to Aston University and I studied chemical engineering.
Thank you very much. And you've been working a lot, haven't you, with Aston about to really promote this webinar as well. So I think Jess wants to give a bit of a shout out.
Yeah, so hi everyone from Aston watching. You're already enthused and inspired by Simran's story already. But hi, and thanks for joining.
Definitely. Thank you very much. So yeah, key facts then. Burt, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, so Severn Trent is got a new target of being carbon net zero by 2030, and that's 20 years ahead of what the government is asking for, basically. So we're all involved with electric vans and cars, and they're also looking at things like lorries and stuff like that, ways that we can all help, and planting trees and solar and all that. So
Making the world a better place. Thank you, Burt. Krishna, so key fact, please.
Yes, so one fact about Severn Trent is we are one of the 2 water companies which are fast tracked by Ofwat, who is our water regulator, to the next area during this AMP7 cycle.
Oh, you cut out a little bit there, Krishna. Do you want to say that fact again?
Yeah, sure. So this fact is we are one of the 2 water companies which are fast tracked by Ofwat, so who is a water regulator in the UK, to the next AMP period, so which is asset management period during this AMP cycle.
Perfect. Thank you. I heard it all clearly then. So thank you very much. And Simran, your key fact?
Yeah, so as a water company, we supply 2 billion litres of drinking water each day to our customers.
Yeah, perfect. Darren? I can't hear you.
Fine. I'm going to take myself off mute. There we go. So an interesting fact, Severn Trent have invested £10 million in its people and communities. And we're just approaching our first anniversary of the Severn Trent Academy opening its doors to its first pupils.
Yeah.
So that's for colleagues to get first-class, world-class training to be able to go out into their communities and do their work the very best that they can. So it's assurance there for the people and communities at which we serve.
Yeah, and it just shows how heavily you invest in your members of staff as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thanks, Darren. I'm going to stay with you then, Darren.
Okay.
So can you tell everybody about the roles that you've currently got open on Gradcracker and any future plans to open any further opportunities?
Okay, yes, let's start off with graduate opportunities. So I mentioned at the outset that it's our biggest intake and we've got those different routes in. Our opportunities are open at the moment. You can go onto the hub and find out lots more, get lots of guidance that links you then through to the Severn Trent website, but go to the hub to get everything that you need. So we have cybersecurity. So it's not just a technology program, it's specializing in a particular area. And we do sort of, those opportunities are open to individuals that are from that computer science background. For those of you that have an interest in technology, but might be studying a subject that's non-technology related, a particular passion of yours, but you've got that interest, we do have another technology program that's a delivery practice graduate program that allows you to sort of to get exposure to different projects that are taking place within the whole technology arena. Simran will, I know, share experiences of her time to date, but it will give you sort of an introduction there to the whole cycle of technology programs and the type of programs that we run. So they're both 2-year programs, but one is more specific than the other, but both equally as exciting.
Darren, can I
yes.
ask you a question, just interrupt there, because there might be students listening today that didn't even realise that you would recruit, from their disciplines, computer science, technology, cybersecurity, all the things you mentioned. Could you just tell us briefly the kind of projects they would be working on? Because they might be sat there thinking, where would I fit? What kind of projects would I be working on if I was to come to Severn Trent?
I think that there'll be kind of, it'll be split into different routes. So that's all right. You've really put me on the spot there. So we'll have the kind of, we'll have sort of digital engineering. So there'll be different sort of architecture projects that the team will be completing. So that's the development of new apps and software that's required by certain teams out in whatever field that they're in, if it's in the communities, There's also, from a technology perspective, even deeper kind of technology roles outside of technology through asset intelligence, for example, and innovation. So, you know, whilst there isn't a graduate opportunities there, then getting the grounding within the areas that you're going into could open up other doors to sort of progress into particular areas of interest.
Yeah.
Cyber is cyber though, but with the project, I suppose the delivery practice graduate route, then getting that grounding for what delivery practice is of programs would enable you to sort of then take that next step up.
Brilliant.
So, but without kind of chucking the ball over to the fence to Simran, and I think that we'll wait for her to kind of share those exact experiences. But it will be DevOps. It's kind of, you know, there will be the sort of architectural sort of projects as well, and then there'll be sort of practice sort of management end to end, so Scrum Master kind of roles and sort of working out, you know, those kind of opportunities.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Jessica, for that question.
Sorry, Darren.
You know what she's like, Darren?
Oh yes, absolutely. No, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It's good to keep me on my toes. So that's technology. So if we look at engineering, and we have designs. So we've restructured the engineering program at Severn Trent. I think in the past, the emphasis has maybe been on, okay, a discipline is required to be able to go and do some fantastic work, get involved in some fantastic projects. I think the emphasis now is very much on, okay, what training and development do we need to provide as part of those placements, be it design engineering, be it program delivery, for those specific disciplines that will lead to getting the right evidence as to work towards chartered status. So I think, whereas in the past it's possibly been, you know, we have a fantastic mechanical, electrical, civil engineer that's doing some smashing it out of the park with the projects that we've got, then it's going to be, okay, this person needs to be doing this to be able to, as they work towards chartered status, they need to have exposure to this area. So it's building up a technical competence within the work that they do and the discipline that they're in. So separately this year, for the first time, there are graduate and undergraduate opportunities within water treatment process engineering. So that includes wastewater recycling as well. So for chemical engineers, that's fantastic that we now have a specific treatment process engineering program. So if you look at environmental work that we do with the environment, you know, the environment is our it's in our supply chain. We interact with it every single day. So to have that opportunity there is great. So design is very much the civils, mechanicals, electricals, as is program delivery. But program delivery, if there's a science-based STEM subject, then it can be non-engineering as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Darren. So as you can take a breath, as Darren just mentioned, I think on the hub at the moment we've got 8 graduate positions and 1 internship at the moment. But Darren mentioned it is the biggest intake ever at Severn Trent. So remember, there's numerous positions per opportunity. So I'm going to let the grads talk about everything that they've been up to. Burt, I'm really excited to hear about your story as an intern and coming back as a graduate. So I'm going to hand over to Miss Luck.
Thank you. So yeah, Burt, I'll start with you.
Okay.
Tell me.
Hello. Yeah. Again. So yeah, I've just come off the grad scheme. So I've done 3 years under a placement year bracket and grad scheme bracket. So on my placement year, I was in waste treatment delivery, which I was really fortunate to get involved in a big tens of £1 million project just outside Birmingham to do with the HS2. And we were doing some diversions on a scheme. So I spent a year out working on one site, building and developing basically a new element of the sewage treatment works, which was really good fun.
Yeah.
And then I went back to uni and then come back for my first year of the grad scheme. I went into waste treatment design. So it's basically the stage before delivery. It's the stage between a process engineer and a delivery member. So yeah, the idea of that was you take the reports produced by a process engineer, which includes like basically design options, and you have to develop those further and understand what's the best way to design that scheme to get the best outcome, basically. So yeah, I spent a year doing that.
So
And then I went on. Go on.
Just this might sound a stupid question.
Go
so
on.
bear with me. But what are you designing?
So basically, the main driver for most waste treatment works is a discharge permit. So each wherever waste treatment works discharges, there is a set permit set by the EA of the quality of that water, that effluent that comes out of the works.
Yeah.
And usually most drivers in every AMP is a tightening of that permit, so an improved effluent quality coming out of that works.
Right.
And so basically at the start of the AMP, all the process engineers, so like the clever people, basically the people that do
Simran.
all the long words and stuff like that, they come up with something called a process options report, and that's basically got multiple options within that report of different processes to reach that new permit.
Okay. Yeah.
But that can obviously, you can stem from a small couple of £100,000 scheme in the middle of nowhere, you know what I mean, in the middle of the Cotswolds, to a £40 million scheme on one big sewage treatment works. So there's a massive variance in the projects and the schemes to get involved in. So you could end up doing like loads of little ones, one big one. There's so much different, and every single one is different as well. So every single one's got a different requirement, and it's already got different things there. So you sort of have to use your knowledge and data collection to specify the best possible option, basically.
When you came back as a graduate, Burt, so did you get to choose which team you were in and which projects that you wanted to get involved in, or did it stem from like a year in industry that you did there and think, oh, actually, I've got this experience, I'm going to join this area? How did that work?
So there were sort of two factors. Obviously, this was like 3 years ago now, so it might have changed. but there was two drivers for me. One was that I was based down in the Midlands, so I wanted to sort of be based out of Coventry, where the other, like the North team, is in Derby. So and then the other thing was I'd done the delivery side, so I just wanted to get a feel for the design side, if that makes sense, because I did mechanical engineering at uni. I didn't really have the knowledge or expertise to trial process, so my other option was design, basically. So yeah, that was sort of the reason for doing that bit.
Good that you get a bit of a say in it though, so you did experience one area and then you want to come back and experience
another,
which is
exactly
good.
And then you get far more of a say as well, moving from your first to second year. So back then we got an option to pick the top 3 choices, so we got given the list of the available placements for the following year, and we could then sort of give our top 3 or 2. I can't remember what it was back then, Darren, but top 3 there we go. Yeah. And so for my third year, I wanted to just try something new again. So I went from the treatment element into the infra element, which was basically the pipe work and stuff out on the roads and stuff, not in like the safety of our own sort of works, if you know what I mean. So I did a year in waste infra delivery. So that was looking after pipe works and private pumping stations and bits like that. So yeah. And then I've moved again. So I'm now in my permanent project engineer role in the major projects delivery team. So
it's worthwhile asking, if sorry for jumping in, but so people might have this sort of thoughts of an engineer being out on site every day. What was the percentage of time that you sort of were out, you know, because it does change depending on the projects and work you're on. You know,
exactly.
What's that percentage like?
It completely varies, if I'm honest. So in first year with the major scheme, because it was so big, we had temporary project cabins built on site. Sorry, I've got a puppy going nuts. And then the second year in design, I probably didn't do as much. It was a lot more sort of analytical side of it and a lot more desktop work. And then third year was out again in people's gardens and stuff on private pumping stations and bits like that. And then this year I've going out a bit more again, basically, but not as much as I was doing on the infra side.
Sounds like there's a football match.
Yeah, sorry. He's a giant puppy.
Let's have a look.
Oh, good grief.
I saw him shouting
So-
at the camera. He was like turning
"Yes,
around,
why
shouting.
did
Yeah,
you
it's all
ask
good.
that?"
This is the real environment that a lot of us are working in at the
Yeah,
moment,
we're
right?
working from
You
home.
know,
Shall we? I think he's taking the
Let's
party. I just
move
start
on.
showing you him.
Literally. At his feet.
There you go. Sorry.
Oh, I wanted to see him.
Oh no, I can't pick him up. It's an Irish wolfhound. He's like a giant.
Oh, wow. Oh.
But yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
So yeah, and then the role I'm in now, I'm looking after about 40 million quid's worth of capital schemes. So I'm trying to develop myself into a permanent project manager. Basically, that's where I'm aiming towards.
How long will that be then until you can be that person?
Well, so my aim is like 18 months, but that might be a bit ambitious. But I'm currently, Darren mentioned the academy.
Yeah.
Last week I spent 4 days doing the accreditation for the APM project management certification. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to do all the courses I can at the academy to do that.
In fairness, that's something, Burt, that you've tried to do from even your industrial or year in industry, haven't you? Because I know that, that there's a lot of opportunity there to kind of take that training that's on offer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I sort of did a bit of a career change. So when I first started, I was very much set on becoming chartered with the IMechE.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to become chartered with the Mechanical Institute. But after doing sort of design and delivery, I found myself much more preferring the project management side. So that's where I sort of shifted paths and are now looking to become a chartered project manager, basically. And
Perfect.
but I must admit though, even with like IMechE, there was so much support from, we have got like a team internally called the Design Excellence Team, and they run like civil, electrical and mechanical like workshops and stuff. So there was so much, it was extremely easy to, if I wanted to become an IMechE chartered engineer.
Perfect. Thanks, Bert.
It's always a
Okay.
running theme, isn't it, when we do these webinars, that, you know, you speak to people like yourself, but that, you know, sometimes you go in with the idea that you're wanting to do one thing, or your degree is going to lead you down one path. And, you know, just within a couple of years, you're doing something completely different, interested in something completely different, and, you know, at the start of a completely different career. And I always say that to students, you know, sometimes don't be too short-sighted thinking, oh, I've done this degree, which then means I can only really apply to these opportunities.
Well, and exactly, like I've probably done more sort of civil stuff than I have mechanical, to be fair. But it's really good because so many of them want to teach you what they know and stuff like that. And especially, I suppose, a bit more back when we were in the office before Christmas, when you sat with everyone and they can talk you through things and stuff like that. It was you learn so much.
You just have to be like a sponge, don't you? Just listen to everybody and what's going on around you. And
you just get out what you put in as well. Like, it's easy to sit there and sort of mull it over in your head, but someone like 5 meters away is probably an expert in it. Do you know what I mean? And it's easier and you learn more going to ask them, and they've all got time for you. So
that's
great.
Thanks, Bert. So Simran, I'm going to come to you next. Similar question. If you just tell us a bit about your role and your experiences so far.
Yeah, so I'm the graduate for technology. So I joined in September now. Yeah, September. So it's been about 4 months, I think.
Okay.
So within my graduate program, there's 3 different rotations, as Darren was saying. So there is solution architect, the digital engineering and DevOps, and cloud engineering. So at the moment, I'm on the digital engineering and DevOps. So I'm part of an application developer team, and what we do is we use a platform called Power Platform and Power Apps to develop applications for us to use internally in the company. So it's just to improve the processes that already exist and try and automate them a bit more.
Okay.
So that's my role. Yeah.
So tell us a bit about your rotations. What do you say, sorry, that you're on now, and then what do the future rotations look like, and what will you be doing?
So at the moment, I'm on the digital engineering and DevOps, so just the application development. I think it's around 6 months, and then you swap. So I can choose which placement I want to go to, or either whether I want to do some Scrum Mastering or go, be in a Scrum team, because it's a different way that they work. They work in an agile way. And then hopefully look towards getting the project management qualification and being a Scrum Master in the future, hopefully.
Simran, for anyone that doesn't know what a Scrum Master is,
Yeah.
Is it?
is it?
So basically, within Severn Trent we have trains. So within the train there can be solution architects, there can be business analysts. So they all work together on one train. So if it's one project, and the Scrum Master will basically oversee the team and making sure they're working in an agile framework, because that's something that we do at Severn Trent in technology.
So do you, as a Scrum Master, would you lead the project? So in terms of, I don't know, tell me if
I'm
so you would, when you want everything.
Yeah, so you would guide the team, you would lead the team, you would sort out any issues. So it's kind of like a project management role, but within technology.
Brilliant. Okay.
So yeah.
How big's your team, Simran? So how many people could you be looking after if you became a Scrum Master?
So within a train, normally there's around, I think, 6 to 7 people within one train that will be leading that one project. We have different types of trains in different, so we have like a SAP HR system, so there's like a SAP train, there's different trains that work on different applications and different projects.
Would you have to get to know about all of the different people's jobs then? So if you're a Scrum Master of different people on the train doing different things, do you need to have an overall view about what everybody's role is, and how in depth does that knowledge need to be about the individual's roles?
Yeah, so you would need an overview. So by doing the 3 placements, you get an overview of what each placement does, because you'd have that experience by the end of it. So you do need to know sort of probably in detail of like what each person needs to be doing and how their expertise can help the team, basically. So yeah.
Brilliant. Darren, you are a fidget bum. Sit still. Come on, Burt, tell him.
Apologies.
Thank you very much, Simran. Krishna, I'm going to come to you next. Same question again. If you could just tell us a bit about your role and your experiences so far.
So I'm currently on Business Leadership Graduate Program, and I'm working as a design engineer in Capital and Commercial Services Division, particularly in wastewater design team. And currently I'm working on 3 projects. So the costs are about 200,000 to almost £1 million worth. The projects are. So all these projects will have an impact on performance of sewage treatment works over the next 25 years in the various parts of Severn Trent region. And about these projects, like most of these projects, as Burt said, we get these projects from the environmental agency. So what environmental agency asks us to is, they ask us to improve the water quality in the rivers in a particular area. So as Burt said, we'll be having a particular permits. So it's more like chemical permits so they'll ask us to decrease ammonium levels, they'll ask us to decrease some phosphorus levels in the rivers. So then me and my team, before that, Burt, he's in process team. So his team, they'll give us multiple options, saying that, okay, these are all the options that you can work out. And me and my team at that time, we work together and come up with a solution to improve the final effluent quality of the sewage treatment plants. So which we ultimately release into rivers.
I see. So then it kind of would you say you look after almost the last bit of the project then? You made the final decision? No,
when we so Burt, he's going to give us 5 to 6 options. Yeah. Then we work on various cost factors, how much it's going to take, how long it's going to take. So, and also we'll keep an impact. So sometimes there will be a population growth and also potential catchment issues in the future. So we will forecast that. So considering all these aspects, we'll come up with the one solution. Then we'll go back to the process team. So again, they'll do an in-depth work for that single option. Then afterwards, it goes to delivery stage. So where the contractor's involvement will be there.
I see.
It sounds, and I suppose I know a little bit about this, Krishna, but what you've just described there, a lot of people might be thinking, okay, how long's Krishna been there for? I couldn't possibly do that. I'm still at university, my final year. What are the expectations of Severn Trent? So it's probably worth kind of highlighting the support that you've got to be able to get to where you are now within the kind of 5 months, is it, that you've been on program?
I guess
Yeah.
today it's exactly like 4 months since I have joined.
Oh,
I'm with
happy
Simran.
anniversary.
Yeah.
So yes, to be honest, like, on the day one, when I have met my team, so they started giving me work. To be honest, I have no idea. I am from a mechanical background, but I have no idea about even a single bit of waste treatment process.
Yeah.
But initially, for the first 3 or 4 weeks, my team, and also with the help of academy, they have enrolled me into some courses where I have developed the basic skills on how exactly this waste treatment works from the beginning to end. What are all the factors that we need to consider? So from the small, very basic stuff till they immediately from the day one, they won't give us any kind of very big responsibility, but it's like a day by day, step-by-step procedure. So slowly they'll take me into one step after one step in a particular project. So now, as it's been like 4 months since, still I'm not familiar with the full process, like how it goes from the beginning to the end, but this is a outline. But definitely, like our whole team, my team consists about 8 or 9 members. So each and every one, I'll just drop a message in the group, guys, I need this one. Guys, can you help me with these calculations?
Yeah.
That's it. They respond to me. If not, if they're busy, they'll guide me to someone who can help me with that.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, brilliant. It's so good having
sound
all
like
the help and this help and support. I think we were saying the same thing, wasn't it? Help and support. You can just go to somebody and say, I don't know what I'm doing, help me, and then it's there for you.
I can go to anyone, here the
Yeah.
team very friendly, including the managers and also program leads. It's not like, he's a program lead, I should not go there. No, it's not that. It's a very good environment, yes.
Well,
Oh,
Krishna, you
perfect.
sound like you know what you're doing, which is
Yes,
great.
you do.
You sound. I'll be like Darren said, I'll be a bit blown away listening to you, thinking, "Oh wow,
Yeah.
I didn't realise that I would get that opportunity and responsibility so early on."
I think it's probably also worthwhile mentioning that Krishna joined us last year and joined the business leadership program, but from what you've heard has explained that he's kind of working in a design engineering role, and been able to slot him into that placement based on the background and experience that he has. So the program that he's on, we do get a real good mix of people that are from a STEM background, but also non-STEM subjects as well. So we will kind of look at the individual's, I suppose, own educational journey and what those interests are before then placing or putting that individual, Krishna in this case, onto their first placement as part of the business leadership program. So we're not expecting everybody to know everything from day one, right? So it's making sure that the right support structure is around that person. If individuals have got the right attitude and drive and wanting to learn. So it's been wonderful seeing Krishna's profile on LinkedIn, for example, in the last 5 months really kind of grow. You know, if you've got that mindset that you want to learn and you want to, you've got the drive to be the very best that you can be, then people will be very supportive of that. If you haven't come from that non-technical background, right? You can learn, you can develop that knowledge, and that's what the program is about.
I think it's just about being, being your best self. I think they say nowadays, Darren, be your best self. And obviously the Academy, Severn Trent Academy, will take you all the way through your journey. So just thinking about our audience, STEM students, any STEM discipline background, Darren will, consider you to the opportunities that he's got open at Severn Trent. So yeah, make sure you have a look, because these journeys so far seem absolutely amazing.
I just want to make the point there. So I did a presentation. Sorry if I said this wrong. I don't know if Sheffield Talent or Kent. They've kind of merged together in my mind yesterday or the day before. But a student asked me and said, do the employers expect me to know everything when I start the job? And it was like, no, absolutely not. This is the whole point of these employers like Severn Trent offering these fantastic training programs, so they can teach you as long as you're willing, open-minded, enthusiastic, passionate to learn.
Yeah,
they'll give you
what they're looking for.
That. So absolutely. Next, we're going to talk about projects. I know we've kind of touched on some of the projects that you've worked on so far, but Burt, I'm going to come back to you again. And if you could tell us, over the 3 years that you have now been with Severn Trent, what has your favourite project been? and why?
Okay. My favourite project is probably the one I'm doing now.
Okay.
More because I feel like I've learned everything I need to do so I can enjoy delivering it, if that makes sense. But also where it's quite an exciting project. So my current, well, one, I suppose, of the projects I'm looking after at the moment is a transfer scheme from Hinckley to Nuneaton. And it's 1,500 litres a second, basically. So you know how we were saying that Severn Trent provide 8 million litres of water a day, I think it was, didn't you say, Simran, or something?
2 billion.
2 billion, there we go. 2 billion. So like this pipeline is probably going to do about 200 million. So just put that into context of waste. So it's going to be a 3 pipes, 1.2 meter diameter for about 20 kilometers.
Right, so say that again. How big is the pipe?
1.2 meters diameter, and there's 3 of them.
Gosh.
And it's going just under 20 kilometers. So it's an exciting scheme, and I've got about 80 landowners that are all angry farmers and stuff like that. So
Excuse me, do you mind if I just dig up your field?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So, but it's all really good fun, and like, we're just sort of in the design phase now. So, and hopefully we'll deliver it within this AMP. So
it just goes back to your point you said earlier, though, Callie, and you just take it for granted, don't you? You don't understand the infrastructure and what it takes to, just turn your tap on.
And I'd like to say no, because my water pipes are not dug in. So every morning, this is not Severn Trent, by the way, I live in Yorkshire, but every morning,
should you be saying this?
If it's frozen, I have no water. So I don't take it for granted because I live in the sticks. But it's definitely not Severn Trent. But I should be getting you up here to come on, sort it out for me.
I think it's, I know they kind of just interject there, and they're kind of light-hearted, but it is a complex operation. Everything from I suppose the ways in which we extract water and the different ways in which you can do that, all the way through treatment processes to get that clean water to tap, often sometimes in very rural areas across our communities, to then sort of bring that wastewater back into our treatment works, to be able to recycle that and to meet the permits that Burt was kind of explaining earlier. We've got some incredibly talented people. Every single person that works at Severn Trent, irrespective of level that they're at, will be, I know you kind of, that phrase that you used earlier, Carla, so to be the very best that you can be in what you do. So the values that we hold to ourselves as employees is you are actually playing your part in the national critical infrastructure, irrespective of where you work in the business, right? So Simran's working in technology, but if the projects don't happen within Simran's area of business, there is a ripple effect and there is an impact elsewhere, and eventually it will reach our customers. So there's 8 million people in our region, so of which I think there's only 8 miles that you could sort of say isn't landlocked, right?
Yeah.
So there's lots of innovation within the industry, and there's lots of opportunity. There are ethical reasons why people might want to choose a career in this area, and I know that there are reasons why people choose a particular educational route as well. So they have an interest and you can use that in certain areas. But we do, of course, we, as you've said already, Carla, we do, the majority of our programs do open for individuals across all disciplines.
You are hidden heroes, aren't you? Because if you didn't have water.
Yeah, key workers. A lot of our people were key workers during the pandemic. People still expect to be able to turn the tap on, and you don't think about it, Jessica. You're right, you just go downstairs or you're upstairs, wherever, you turn that tap on, you expect it to be there. It is a complex operation which sometimes we have to kind of display courage because not everything goes right, and we have to display that to be able to get to the outcomes where we want to. So on our graduate programs or any opportunity at Severn Trent, you will have that opportunity to develop, you will have the opportunity to play your part in doing something pretty amazing. So and that's why there's so many people here that are particularly proud of working for Severn Trent. So
and I think so you get your head around that, everything you've just said and what you guys do for the country, and then on top of that, your targets of doing it carbon neutral by 2030. Did you say? Bert?
Yeah.
That then blows my mind again. Like, how would you do all that with, you know?
Well, yeah,
then
like, so
do it again.
part of the scheme as well that I'm looking at is we're pumping from Hinkley because we're closing the sewage treatment works, and the land in which that sewage treatment works is on, about 50% of it we're turning into a green space. So it's going to have all lakes and open woodlands and stuff like that, and turn into a bit of like a nature reserve. So, and it's all part of planting more trees and we're cutting down type thing. So
just goes to show as well that you've just got such a brilliant future ahead of you, all of you at Severn Trent, because it's not just now, is it? There's plans in the future, but I think.
Am I able to say, Carla? You know, because we had 565, better stay on the lower side, but most 565,585, over £500 million was awarded to Severn Trent by the regulator earlier this year, or sorry, May last year. And that was off the back of, you know, something called the green recovery. So as we come out of the pandemic, how do we support the communities? Now, the regulator, though all the water companies had the opportunity, and did in fact, so I won't go through the numbers, but if you wanted to kind of go online and see, you know, it's easy to find. So we're talking other water companies were getting in the tens, maybe just over 100. And then it got announced to us that Severn Trent had £565 million, 565 million that was awarded. So there's 6 different major projects that are taking place, everything from smart metering through to improving river quality, so that there's bathing rivers across certain parts of, you know, the sort of river courses that are within our geographical area, through to taking away lead pipes and replacing those from kind of road to house. So like what you were explaining that you're experiencing, sort of improving, you know, becoming more sustainable. Now, there's a ripple effect there within the supply chain, which we'll see around 2,500 people get employment through these different projects.
Yeah.
So you know, that sort of funding, as it were, is being awarded to Severn Trent that plays a part across the communities, because that's not 2,500 roles that are going to be at Severn Trent. There'll be people from Severn Trent that are sort of managing those, and there have been increased opportunities. Don't get me wrong. As you know, we've got interns that are on green recovery, and you helped us kind of get those people last year. But the point is that that there is opportunities presenting that sort of are being identified regularly. So if you're watching this in 3 months' time or 2 months' time, or even looking ahead to next year, the landscape would have changed, I'm sure, based on how we serve our communities.
It's fascinating. So we move on to Simran and projects.
Yeah. So
Simran's like, yep, I'm here, I'm ready.
So recently I've been working on it's a pollution app. So it's like an internal app that we're going to be using. We've got one for our waste operators and one for our clean water operators. And the idea of the app is to so if there is any sort of pollution and the operators do notice anything, it's really important for us to get all our data together and have the right data for the environmental agency. And if we don't, if there's not enough data, or there's something that has been missed, it can cost us, we can get fined quite a lot of money for it. So it's really important. So I've been working on an app. So what it does is it lets the operator, it works through some questions, so they can fill in all the data, they can upload pictures to the app. So they just work, it's like a form, so they can work through it. And then once they submit it, there's like a flow, like through like Power Automate, there's a flow running in the background. And what that does is it captures all the information and then turns it into a Word document, and then it will automatically send an email to the operator to tell them that they've submitted a pollution. And then it helps us in the sense that everything's all in one place. So when the environmental agency do ask for the evidence and how it was reported, everything is all together in one place. So that's one of the projects I've been working on.
So that Severn Trent decided to make, you know, internally, or was that something that the environmental agency turned around and said, actually, this would be a useful tool for us and you?
Yeah, so Severn Trent have decided to take this further. So there was someone from the pollutions team who came forward with the idea, and then we worked together with that team, and then we make an app. And it also gives you exposure to different areas of the business as well, because I don't feel like I would ever work with the pollution team, or like if we've got another app, it's like a portal launching for like the visitor centre, and we work with the reception team. So it gives you exposure and it helps you network within the business as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
And coming up with those ideas, because like you say, you know, you're working with a team with the problem's going to be completely different to what it could be the visitor centre. Pollution team, sorry, to the visitor centre. So and it's the
and it expands your knowledge as well, like within the business, like just the processes that they originally used, and then they're using your process now, and it just makes everything a lot quicker, and it makes the business a lot more efficient. So I think
sorry, Jess.
Sorry,
I was just going to say, it's so interesting, isn't it? We're both like, it's sometimes as well from an outsider's point looking in, like I suppose you have to do as well, to think, why are you working like that? You know, it needs somebody like you to think, right, why don't we work a little bit more intelligently, a little bit clever with technology and everything else to change things.
It is, it's bringing the technology, and I feel like the future is kind of technology, and there are a lot of processes that we currently still use that can be a lot more efficient. So it was just working towards that goal of just being better, being more efficient, really.
Simran, that's probably a question for you, because you did chemical engineering.
So
maybe more the obvious route for you would be to go on more of the engineering side. What was the initial attraction for you to go more technology?
So when I was studying, it's not that I did enjoy my degree, but I just found I was more drawn towards the technology side of things. Like I did use softwares like AutoCAD, MATLAB, and it was a lot of coding. And I always felt I was drawn towards that side rather than the whole process engineering. I did have modules like process design and process engineering, and I enjoyed more the technical side rather than the process and the treatment side of things. So that's why I applied to that program.
And we're going to kind of touch upon this, but because I can't believe it's 10 to already. I know we've still got plenty of time, but I'm going to kind of ask you this question just because we're talking about it. But, you know, like the training that you've got then, because like you say, you had maybe a bit of a foundation of, you know, computing languages, as you've mentioned, but what support have you got? And did you go into the role a bit anxious thinking, I don't actually know all these languages. Am I going to be a bit out of my depth? How am I going to do it?
So completely I did. When I first started, I think it was, we have a program lead called Michelle, and me, and there was only 2 tech grads at the point, and I think everyone else was like finance and business leadership. And I think we had a pre-joiners event, and then we asked her, and we were like, what do we actually need to know? Because I think we were both a bit anxious. It was like a month before we were joining, and we're like, do we need to do any preparation or anything? And she said no. And then when we met our managers when we started, they confirmed that they have a lot of training on offer. They are really supportive in terms of when they if they want you to do any certifications or you do any trainings. I think the first couple of weeks, the first 4, because I'd never used the software that we used for to develop the apps. So the first couple of weeks, that's all I was doing, just training and getting to know the software a bit more. And the team are really supportive as well. So now we're working from home. We jump on a Teams call and we share our screens, and we work through it together if there's a problem. So they're really supportive.
If there was anyone listening now thinking, you know, is there anything that I could do to upskill myself outside of the degree, learning certain coding languages, what kind of ones would you recommend? What do you use?
So it depends what you want to go into. Microsoft actually do have a really good website. So it's called Microsoft Learn, and on there you can learn any type of software that we use internally. So we use a cloud-based software that's Microsoft Azure, and then there's fundamentals on this. Even if you wanted to start learning, you're not expected to, so you can do this within your role as well. But if you wanted that extra step forward, you could start on that website, and we use like Azure fundamentals. There's loads of fundamentals and administrator roles on that website that you could look through and start learning if you wanted to.
Brilliant.
Good point. Make the most use out of your time, isn't it? Between like now and maybe getting an internship or starting a job. So
And it looks good in your CV as well.
Yeah, no, it does.
Give
Yeah,
those
definitely.
examples.
And it's something that you can talk about in your interview as well.
Yeah,
and it does show that you've got a passion because you're doing it outside and you're doing it in your own time.
Yeah.
100%.
Good tip.
Good tip. Krishna, have I asked you about projects? I haven't, have I? Sorry. I started thinking because we're talking about training, and I forgot we were talking about projects. Krishna, sorry. Favorite project you've worked on so far?
So as I said, like currently I'm working on 3 projects, like which are mainly like sewage treatment works. So one of the project is in a place, Bridge North, which is in Staffordshire. So in that area, like they have EA has asked us to decrease ammonia permits, and also like from the process team we got to know that there is a population growth in the next 10 years. So considering that, like we need to start looking after our assets, like whether the existing assets are enough to withstand, like do they have enough capacity to treat that additional inflow. So I'm working on that project. So it's in the beginning stage, to be honest. So yes, that is one of the key projects that I'm working on, and like the cost is about like 800 to 900,000 pounds, which we are estimating, but it can vary depending on the design stages. Like when we go forward, we'll get to know what exactly, if there are any internal issues within the assets, so that even costs us more.
So that's a massive thing you've got to consider, haven't you? Making those decisions now, but then also making the decisions with the information you might know about what could happen in the future and making sure it's the right one. I can imagine it's quite difficult to juggle all that information.
Exactly. But like simultaneously also, like we almost every other day we'll be having team meetings. So every week, 1 hour where I'll be presenting the findings of my work so far. So the experience like designers and also my design manager. So they'll be giving me like feedback. So, okay, this might work, this might not work. So or like any suggestions like on what things like I can improve. So again, then I'll feedback them into the work which I'm doing. So it's like a continuous improvement process.
How would you find presenting?
It's Severn Trent like present, to be honest. Like, they like each and every meeting, like we need to be ready with the presentation. So okay, doesn't matter even if it is a 1 slide or 2 slides. For the first 1 week or 2 weeks, I was a bit presentations are not my thing. But like I have attended one course in academy, so that boosted my confidence. So from that time, now I'm happy. As Darren knows, like nowadays I'm supporting Darren in various promotional events for graduate programs.
It's another skill to have, isn't it? Again, if any students listening want to practice the presentation skills, it looks good on your CV.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
You can say something, Simran.
I think Krishna's made a good point, and just very briefly is that you could be on a program, but you manage your own time. So Krishna, I know that you've been on sort of day in the life of operational days, etc. So although you've kind of been you're on a placement as a design and engineer based on your background, there's nothing stopping you managing your own time effectively to go out and actually understand more about the business and how it operates that can help you as you progress.
Yes, during this graduate program especially, we have got that much flexibility. So as I said, like managers are more friendly, so I can just tell them, hi, I just need a day, I want to do these things, so is that okay? So as we are a graduate, especially on graduate program, so we have got that flexibility to involve in various opportunities, not especially on apart from this day-to-day role, I have got number of opportunity where I can involve in.
I love that about Severn Trent. I always have. I'll come back to Simran because I know you're trying to get a word in. But I love that about Severn Trent. If you think, I'm struggling with my presentation skills, or there's something that you think I could do with a little bit of help, you can just go to the academy and they're there, and it's either like a an exam digital, or there's people there to teach you and everything else. So I think it's always something that stood out for me at Severn Trent.
There's your line manager. You've got you have a mentor as well that's not related to your program, for example, in a department. The point is that you could go onto your own records in the systems that we use in Severn Trent. There's a whole suite of different activities and development opportunities that you can pick and choose. Some you have to do because of compliance reasons, but you know that there's lots of opportunity there.
I was about to say I was struggling with my presenting, and there was even a course on presenting with confidence, I think it's called, or something. And and they teach you all about skills of presenting better and stuff like that. And there's a course on anything. Do you know what I mean? If you struggle with it, there's
a course on it. Simran, go before the
Sorry, Simran.
Just to add to, no, it's fine. Just to add to what Krishna was saying, as a graduate, you do have a lot of opportunities. So they offer something because it's called a DILO. So it's a day in the life of. You just have to confirm with your manager if it's okay, but you can contact someone in the business and say that you want to do in the day in the life of, and you can spend the day with them, see what they do, and it's just an opportunity to get an insight in another area of the business if you want to, and it just gives you that experience. So
who would you like to spend a day in the life of?
I haven't actually decided. I haven't done mine yet, so I haven't decided at the minute. I'm not sure. Maybe maybe if it's someone in the field though, I feel like it'd be nice to get out the office.
I'd do that. Have you done a day in the life of, Burt?
Yeah, I did it with a pump technician.
I thought you were going to say pumpkin then.
But
that'd be a quiet day.
It was last year when I was refurbishing pumping stations, and the thing I found weakest was my technical knowledge on pumps. So I thought, what better way than going and working with one of the people that takes them to bits and refurbishes them? So that's what I did. It was great fun.
I'm guessing you haven't had time to do that yet, Krishna.
Oh, I did so many so far.
Brilliant.
From the directors till the operators, like who work on on roads and on assets directly. So I have worked with different types of people, and I got multiple opportunities to shadow their work.
Brilliant. I want to be a day in the life of. Right, we've got a couple of minutes. Darren, shall we finish off with you? Hints, tips for students who are thinking about applying?
Absolutely. Thanks, Carla. I would say hints and tips are that try and use, I know that we understand that you're all incredibly busy with studies, and you want to do the very best that you can. Career planning takes time. Think of the ways that you can passively do that sort of you'll end up learning without actually realizing, and sort of having to set the diary to kind of, okay, I'm going to do some research on this. So follow Severn Trent. There's lots of information on the hub, on the Gradcracker hub about Severn Trent. There's lots of videos. So you can do that kind of passive research to understand if we're an organisation that you feel is right for you. Culture is massively important. You're going to be spending a lot of time at work. There's lots of opportunities to develop, but you need to find the right kind of organisation. That takes time. There are a number of other ways in virtual activities that you can come and join us. There's one for technology, for example, on 8th of February. There's others that are taking place in February from an engineering perspective as well. So all the details of that are on the Severn Trent website, but we'll work with Carla and Jessica to kind of get that information out. We're not expecting experts. We develop those. Demonstrating those strengths that you do have throughout the application process is massively important. But we really do sort of help you through preparation and guidance, be the real you. And if you are, then that sort of engagement that you have and drive, energy will come to life without that shadow of doubt.
Perfect. But don't forget, I could just sit and talk to you a lot for ages. Well, Darren, me and you spend our lives talking to each other, don't we? I don't want to talk to you anymore. I want to talk to grads some more. I'm only joking. I love you, really. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It's been really insightful. Really want to get to know about your stories a little bit more. So I'm going to persuade Darren to let us do some more videos and employee profiles, which we'll put onto the Severn Trent Hub on Gradcracker as well. So thank you. Don't forget, this webinar will be on the Severn Trent Hub tomorrow, and we'll also break it down in bite-sized chunks, which will feature around Severn Trent and also on the Career Centre on Gradcracker. Don't forget, Darren said, biggest intake ever at Severn Trent. So make sure you get your applications in. Still opportunities to come. So either apply to Severn Trent or follow them to be alerted to when the new opportunities are live. Next week, me and Jess are joined by WSP, so that's going to be exciting as well. So hopefully we'll see you then. But for now, thank you everybody for joining us today. Take care, everybody.
All the best, everybody. Cheers.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, cheers.